The following is a fan-based review. All materials discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, and Saban Entertainment.
Hi!
Hello!
I didn't know where to start there.
Neither did I.
I was very confused for a second. But, hello everybody! Welcome back to another episode of the Tokucast.
Welcome back.
This week, Sans Matt. Sans. Comic Sans. Don't hate us. But, yeah, Matt's not here. So this week it'll just be a new dynamic with me and Jacob here to do Ultraman Mebius.
Yes!
We went in expecting not a lot with this show.
Yep.
And we came out liking it quite a bit.
It's a very good show.
I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I'm very, very happy that
I almost don't want to watch any more Ultraman after this because I feel like it's all going to be downhill after this and Nexus. Because both of those shows were very, very good.
Yes, if only Nexus was longer. Maybe they'll give it like the Amazon treatment and make it on Amazon Prime.
That'd be cool.
And give us a continuation.
Maybe Amazon Prime over here.
We need that.
So I can watch it.
Yes. It was... Anyway, Ultraman
Mebius.
Starting off with our usual starting off points with that opening. It felt like a show.
Felt like a shonen show in the best way possible.
Yes, it felt like a Showa opening, which it is supposed to be. It's a continuation of Ultraman 80s. I guess we'll put it as storyline, but
20 years after Ultraman 80.
Yes,
which I did not know going in. I didn't know if they were going to do the Kamen Rider pre-decade thing where they all just kind of ignore everything that came before it.
Well, I mean, it all ends up depending on which Ultraman you end up getting into. Like, we're going to end up reviewing Tiga and Dyna at some point, and they're in their own universe. Nexus is a dimension hopper, so he went into another dimension.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So a lot of the
I noticed that was different about this.
Yeah, a lot of the Ultramans are taking place in different dimensions. But with this show, with Mebius, all of the Showa Ultras, Zero and Geed, the new Ultraman who will be starting in a few weeks, all of those take place in, we're going to end up calling it the Showa universe.
Yes.
And Mebius is the 40th anniversary of Ultraman as a whole.
And it feels like it.
Yes. They do it a lot better this year with Ultraman Mebius and the 40th anniversary, unlike what they did for the 45th and made it last 5 years.
Or the 40th anniversary of Kamen Rider.
Yes. It made it last 2 years, basically. Did the same thing for Super Sentai, more or less. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this opening was great. It felt like a Showa opening, which is the best thing it could have done for this.
It felt like a showing opening, and it filled me with hope.
Yes.
Everything about it's just... We have watched so many shows, whether reviews for this channel or not, that are like, I'm hopeful. I'm going to be your last hope. I'm looking at you, wizard. And this show felt genuine.
Yeah.
Everything about it feels genuine.
It doesn't feel like...
It's not overly saccharine.
It doesn't feel like it's hitting you in the face with it.
It's not hitting you over the head with, we are a hopeful series!
The G4,
Yeah, that too.
But this show is just like...
Or Ghost, or many things.
It sort of feels like it embeds itself in real storytelling.
Yeah!
So not everything is overly positive.
Real storytelling. The characters are... There are tropes that we visit, but they feel like real people.
Yes.
Everything about the show feels genuine.
That's the best thing. And the way that this show starts out in episode 1, A Fateful Encounter, really ends up showing that. Mm-hmm. Because they end up trying to fight a monster. The new group, Guys, every single Ultraman has their own military operation. Mm-hmm. This time it's Guys.
And I did not know that the Ultramen had their own planet dimension of sorts.
Yes,
because it opens up, we have Mebius talking to the mother of Ultra and the father of Ultra, which I also did not know were a thing. And it's like, I'm off to go to the Earth. It's like, yes, go forth, my son, and do good.
I am giant.
And that literally, I really liked that scene. Yeah. That was a good way to open up of them sending him off on his mission to
and then we flash
to bring good to the world.
To the Earth, where people are trying to fight an alien coming down from space, and people just start getting murdered.
Oh yeah, people die immediately. They are vastly...
Ships are cut in half, wings are cut off.
The commander sacrifices himself.
Yes, to save Ryu, our first member of Guys that we actually end up getting to meet.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the commander more in a little bit.
Yes. And Ultraman in his human form as Mirai, he's the first one he meets, and Ryu is reciting the Ultraman oath.
Yes. Which I'm guessing would end up being for the first Ultraman, which is, a good tie back for the first one. I also like the fact that I had to do some research on this. Either an Ultraman has a human form because they're all born with one, or when they end up coming to Earth, they end up taking over a host. In this case...
From this show, it looks like they all take over a host.
Host
of someone.
One of them does, but Mirai is an actual Ultraman. Like, he's Mebius in human form.
No, because he took the body of someone else.
Nope. You're thinking of something different, and we're going to explain to that when we get to episode 21.
Okay. Right.
Yes. Mebius is his own character.
Right.
He basically ended up taking the look of someone else.
That's what it is, yes.
And he did that for a reason, which we will explain a little bit. But yes, in the first episode, we end up getting to meet Ryu, who is basically the only survivor of the original Guy's mission that we just mentioned, where everybody ended up getting super murdered. And throughout the rest of this episode, we end up getting to meet the rest of the actual cast of guys.
And we meet them all, and they all come from different walks of life.
Yes,
but they're all brought together by the monster invasion.
Yes.
Now, if we can stop right here for a second, one thing that I think Ultraman does better than anything I've ever seen in Toku, it's monster designs.
Yes. I wouldn't say all of them, but they do the best in monster fights. Because they felt brutal.
For me, it's the design, though.
Some of them are really good.
Ultraman was created by one of the guys who designed Godzilla, Eiji Tsuburaya, I believe is.
Which is why the entire production company is named after him.
That too. And every monster just looks... Not all of them are great, but they...
look distinctive.
They look distinctive. And
saying that, because a lot of the monsters in this show are... previous monsters that end up coming back from, the Showa era.
There's a lot of Showa-looking monsters in this, I noticed.
There really are. Like that one where it's it has the two tentacles at the top, but his face is down here.
Yeah.
That one looks
really
good.
There's Miklas.
Yes. Miklas is adorable.
Who kind of looks like the Chinese, stone lion version of King Caesar.
Yes.
He's like a chibi version of King Caesar from Godzilla.
Now, Miklas is a thing from Ultra 7. We'll talk about him in just a second. Really just all the other Ultras.
Oh, he's from another show.
Yes, he's from Ultra 7. They treat them...
Cool.
We find out later on as capsule monsters. But,
yes, they're it's a Pokemon, but it's enormous,
more or less. But yes, we end up meeting the rest of the cast of guys in this first episode. We end up getting to meet Marina, who is the
motorcycle racer.
Yes, she is a motorcycle racer. George,
the soccer player
from Spain. He speaks with a lot of Spanish words.
Well,
he's Japanese, but he went into Spanish.
Here's one thing that I want to bring up. A lot of Japanese characters in shows like this, they will have little vocal tics or little sayings that they will tack on. Like Kyoryuger, for example, you have Ian who constantly goes, "Oh my." There's no real reason for him to say that.
Or
he says
Yakumo from Ninja.
Yeah.
Easy does it.
Well, that's a little different. But the thing is, they say it because it's a character quirk. There's no real reason for them to say it other than we have to distinct them from the Red Ranger. In this one, there was a reason George speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Because he was in a Spanish league.
For soccer.
Soccer league.
Football.
And yeah, football for them. But yeah, he was a professional sports player who played in Spanish-speaking countries, so there's a reason why he speaks it.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. It's nice to have a reason for things.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing.
We're getting introduced to some more characters. Konomi, who is a preschool teacher.
I loved her.
She was great. One of the biggest standouts of this show. Tepe, who was training, in school to be a doctor.
His overbearing mother wanted him to be a doctor, but he was like, "I want more, mother."
And he was also
I want more out of life.
Big Ultra fan.
Yes.
He has a lot of toys, as you end up seeing in the guy's base.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of toys of past monsters, past Ultras. It's great. And I don't believe we end up getting to meet him until episode 2, actually. But Shingo Sakamizu, who is
Commander Sakamizu.
Yes. Who has a moment in this show where I can't wait until we get... It's at the end of it, which is he is the best.
Mm.
But yes, we end up getting to meet these characters and Mirai, who is Mebius, as I said, in his human form.
Mm-hmm.
This first episode is a pretty good way to actually really introduce these characters because they all end up going back, and the only reason they're all end up being together is to go save...
Konomi's preschool, they have rabbits.
Yes.
They keep rabbits as pets, and she's like, "Oh no, because the monster has landed. It's destroying the city. It's wreaking havoc. Everyone's horribly outclassed." And she's like, "No, I gotta go save them." And George kicks a soccer ball with the force of a missile
at a policeman's face.
At a policeman's face,
and they all run past.
And they run away. So they get through. Marina gives Konomi a ride to the preschool, and then Tepe's like, "I can't just stand by," and he goes to help. and Mirai like meets them while they're there.
Yeah. It's all a really good scene, and the best thing about this first monster fight has something that is so distinctive from any other Toku show I've ever seen. The fact that Ryu actually calls Mebius out on the fact that you literally saved nothing. Everything around you is destroyed right now. You didn't do actual shit.
The people are cheering because they're alive and maybe my home is still okay, but the monster is dead. That's the important thing for most people. You know, the people who have survived this. But Ryu, what's the word? Is it pragmatic? Is that what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Something that, basically, he sees the destruction that's been caused, and it's like, you didn't really help. And I love that moment.
And because Mebius is looking around is like, I fucked up.
Because he takes like cover behind buildings, and
it's like, he has
stuff like that.
Like that first episode was such like a gigantic learning experience
for
him, and I love that. It's like I've never seen in any other Toku show really where they end up calling out the hero of the day. Mm-hmm. They're just like, you literally just destroyed a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same time, it brings to light this is what would actually happen if a giant monster and a giant alien were to fight in a city. There would be lots of destruction, and that's not really something you can avoid.
Yeah. So it's just like from then on, it's like Mebius always ends up going out of his way to try to move the fight.
And that's why and that's how they vary up their locations and they work it into the story in an organic way, and it's beautiful.
It's great. There's also just another couple of characters. We get to meet A. Toriyama, who's like the adjutant.
Who is the most Japanese man in the history of the world. Every single word he says turns into an okonomiyaki as it passes his lips.
And his assistant, Maru.
The ever put upon Maru.
Yes, he's literally always put upon by something. But yes, this first couple episodes is really just a lot of monster fights. But we end up at the end of episode 1, we end up getting to see like this woman who's just like going around and everything, looking at the monster fights.
With a Gene Simmons tongue.
Yes, and
with a CGI Gene Simmons tongue.
And she, like the first time you end up seeing her, it's her and Mirai sort of like following each other throughout the city and everything. And I love that.
And she's moving super fast.
And they explain nothing about her.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that it gives like an immediate sense of mystery to this character. And that's great. That's a really, really good thing.
We just know she's bad.
Yes. Now, we'll skip a little bit on to episode 5.
Okay.
Because like the first couple episodes is really just guys getting together. And like
it's them coming together. It's them starting to learn about each other.
Yeah. And in episode 5, we start out in space, where Guys Spacey, there are different branches of Guys. We have Guys Ocean, Guys Spacey, and Guys Japan. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that we end up hearing the most about because they're all centered around Japan. There's also ones in New York and various other places around the world. But in episode 5, we end up going out. Guys Spacey sees that an alien is coming in, and then we end up getting to see a gigantic beam of light come out of nowhere and destroy this alien almost immediately. And we get to see a blue Ultraman. We don't get to see that many blue Ultramen.
I love this design.
Yeah.
I love Tsurugi's design.
Yes. And after a little bit, like, we end up seeing, there's various fights going on between Mebius and the monsters. And we end up getting to see the captain that died at the beginning of the show. Mm-hmm. Like, he shows up every once in a while right before Tsurugi does. And, obviously they ends up meeting his Tsurugi. And Ryu ends up seeing him first, and which makes sense. Ryu was the one that was saved by the captain he was ejected right before everything exploded at the beginning of the show.
Before he suicided himself into the monster to try to stop it.
Great scene.
Yes.
But yes, Captain is the host of, I'm not going to say Ultraman because it's not one
He's not quite an Ultraman yet.
But he's Tsurugi. And we end up getting a little bit of Tsurugi's backstory, where he was originally an Ultraman.
Well, he was Ultraman Hikari.
Yeah, well, they don't give him that name.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And he was on another planet, and that planet was destroyed by Bogal. Mm-hmm. And Bogal is the woman who appeared in episode 1.
Yeah.
Bogal basically just ends up coming in. You see, like, the monster every once in a while, but it's really fast. It comes in and eats other monsters.
Oh, yeah.
I was like...
It eats other monsters and, like, gains their abilities.
Yeah. And great...
It's freaky.
The
way it eats the monsters is so creepy.
It's so creepy. I was just like,
you know what it kind of reminded me of? It reminded of the Gaping Dragon from Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Where it's just like the underside of it is just like all teeth.
Oh
god, it's so gross.
But yeah, Tsurugi is basically there because the planet that he was stationed around was basically all destroyed and eaten by Bogal.
And the people who lived there had no means of defending themselves because they were just a peaceful people who had evolved at this point in their society without the need for violence.
Yeah.
So they had no way to defend themselves.
And that, like, they end up becoming super bitter about that, and their souls can't pass on. So they end up granting an armor to this Ultraman, and he ends up coming out looking like, no eyes or anything.
There's no eyes. It's because he's blinded by rage.
Yes, that's basically all it is. And like the first couple episodes where that ends up happening is like he's there to hunt Bogal. He's a master swordsman. This Tsurugi is, and I love the dynamic between Ryu and Captain. Just like finding out really their backstory together. It's just like he ends up holding this captain in such a high regard, Serizawa, and I love that. I love the fact that it's just like because a lot of the show actually isn't focused on Mebius until near about midway. A lot of this is focused on the rest of the guys themselves, and Mirai is sort of a character who's he's the hero.
It's so different.
Yeah.
Normally it's well Nexus kind of did this too.
Yeah.
Where it was
focused on the rest of the team.
Yeah, it was the rest of the team, and Nexus was just kind of like there in the background doing his own thing. But compared to, we watch a lot of Sentai, we watch a lot of Kamen Rider for the show, going from, either the Red Ranger or, in some cases, the team or just, the main rider being the focus of the show to this, where it's let's build up and develop our supporting cast instead of just focusing on the lead.
Yeah.
It's so nice to do that.
Yes. It's refreshing.
It is very refreshing.
And I love that. We didn't end up getting another ghost from this, and that's always a great thing. But yes, and then after a little bit, they end up, like, Serizawa ends up breaking out of the fact that, you can't just end up doing all of this by rage. Or just by want to end up having revenge or something like that. So the armor does end up getting broken off of him.
Yep.
And Ryu gives him the name of Ultraman Hikari. Ultraman Light. And I
like Hikari's design too.
Yes. It's good seeing a blue Ultra, because a lot of these Ultras are, red.
Yes, and a lot of red, a lot of silver.
Yeah.
Gold is thrown in there.
It's like, I know...
Whenever they throw blue in, it always looks really good.
I think it's either Gaia or Cosmos. I think it was Gaia. Where they end up, like... It's the first time we ever end up seeing a blue Ultra is in one of those two shows. Yeah. It's a whole other Ultra. And I like...
I remember Nexus had the Junus blue form, and I thought that looked amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, these first couple episodes are great. Going on just a little bit further, it's episode 11. Bogal has been eating various monsters, and they sort of end up defeating it.
Yep.
But then it ends up coming back and growing to a very, very large thing.
Yeah.
Now, they did, as we mentioned earlier, Meekless, who was a monster in Ultra 7, they brought it back for this one as a capsule monster.
Yep.
And it was fighting, but it's not the best. It ends up, like, sort of bonding with Konomi.
Yes.
As its mother, more or less. And there's another one that they sometimes end up using, Wyndham. These are both past, capsule monsters.
Yes.
It's so weird saying that. But
Meekless, I choose you.
That's basically what it ends up being. But they end up upgrading Meekless after a little bit to Aleki Meekless. And... which is a really, really... I love the fact that they had to do something different with Meekless, because he was really basically nothing.
Yeah.
And then they gave him this, and like...
He was normal type, and they made him electric.
Yes, they did. And we also end up getting like this little mascot character, a little mascot Eleking.
I called him Pikachu.
That's basically...
I just called him Pikachu.
He was an electric mouse-looking thing, and
yeah.
It was basically Pikachu. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. But yeah, it's like he ends up showing up every once in a while because he's sort of like with the I think they it's like microbots in the air that can end up forming together to make this thing.
Yes.
It was originally supposed to disappear, but because he's special.
Because of electricity, and also because of I think it was
plot armor.
Plot armor. That works too.
Yeah, but he ends up showing up. And, he ends up showing up every once in a while. I like the fact that even though he's supposed to be like a mascot character, he doesn't show up that often.
He doesn't show up that often because he disappears, he reappears, he electrocutes George, and his hair gets all sticking up.
It's like, yeah, he's adorable. And that's basically exactly what they were supposed to do with him. And that's great. I like that. They don't end up keeping the character around.
Yeah, he's a mascot, but occasionally you'll just see him in the background and Konomi will be petting him or someone will just be holding him. And it's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute. I like it.
That's really about the most that we can end up saying about that. Now, in episode 11, this is the episode where Bogal is transforming to that new form after Amicus and bring it down because Bogal was originally weak to electricity.
Mm-hmm.
After he transforms, that's not a thing anymore. But I love the fact that in this episode, we end up finally really getting Mebius and Hikari to work together. Speaking of which, we haven't really ended up talking about Mebius as an Ultraman himself, what he looks like.
I like his look. I like how it looks.
Because a lot of the problem that I have with a lot of the Showa Ultras is the fact that a lot of them look similar. Especially 80,
I've noticed that about Ultraman in general. They can look kind of similar.
Jack and the original look very, very similar to each other. Zolfi too. So it's just all of them together end up looking very similar.
They're a little bit too simplistic.
Yeah, but Mebius looks more like he has a cat face going on. Hikari does too. Hikari sort of has the Lynx thing going on.
Yes, but he's a different color, so it's easy to tell them apart.
It's very easy to tell him apart. But in this episode,
I like the way the face looks.
Yeah,
I like the colors.
Yeah,
it's a clean looking suit. I like it.
And we end up getting other forms later on, of course, which end up bringing in some further differentiation. But I do like what we ended up getting from Mebius. Now, in episode 11, I love the fact that Guys is always coming up with stuff to beat these monsters, even without the help of Mebius.
They're constantly evolving and changing their tech.
And that's great.
And they're upgrading it. And there are episodes where they beat the monster without Mebius.
It's very reminiscent of Kuga. And I mean, I know this is just an Ultra thing in general where they always end up having that other team which always end up, building on their arsenal and things like that. But just coming off of, watching Kuga not too long ago, it's very reminiscent of that, and their police force always coming up with something new over and over and over again. I love that.
They're constantly coming up with new things, and they're constantly working.
Yes. And in this case, the whole plan was because Bogal was going to explode.
Yeah.
And destroy everything.
It was gonna be like Destoroyah.
Yeah.
The Godzilla monster.
So basically what they ended up having to do was move Bogal to this island.
Move it to a safe area, put a force field around it. And then Ultraman and Hikari were gonna go into that force field, kill the monster, and then hightail it out of there before it explodes.
And the thing is, they almost don't do that. They do end up beating Bogal, with the two of them. I realized seeing the two giants fight together. That was great.
That was awesome.
But in this one, they end up, they almost don't end up doing it. And Hikari was so willing to sacrifice himself.
Oh, yeah. And I thought he was going to.
Yeah, because, they were going to end up using the thing that they, the capsule
It's going to be like, no, get out of here, Mebius. I'll hold him here while you get out. But no.
Yeah, and they end up using, the capsule monster system to create a hole in the force field.
Mm-hmm.
Science. And they
actually explain their science reasonably well.
It's not just bullshit.
I mean, it's still kind of like mumbo jumbo, fake fantasy stuff, but it's explained to a level where it's believable.
Yes,
it's like, all right, I can buy that. They set their rules up well.
Yes, and so in this episode, Hikari does almost end up sacrificing himself. Mebius goes back right before the hole is about to close.
Yep,
they get him out of there. Bogal explodes, and everything is fine and well. But Hikari still ends up dying, mostly because of the fact that Serizawa was basically a corpse. Mm-hmm. But Ultra Mother, being the mother that she is, and ends up bringing them back to life, more or less. But we don't end up getting to see him for a good while. And before Hikari ends up, fading away, he ends up giving his night brace to Mebius to basically end up giving him a power-up form.
And it's an interesting way to get it.
Yes.
And a good way to get it.
Yes, it is.
You've earned this. Here, have a sword.
Yes. Episode 16, the best character ends up showing up.
We don't get a lot of supporting characters like this. Like over the top sort of monster helpers.
But
when they show up...
In a sword master from space, the very first thing we end up seeing is on a comet, these monsters are fighting. And one of them is named Zamashar, the person who needs a show more than anybody else.
Who looks like a complete badass.
Yes.
With awesome armor.
Yes.
Really cool sword.
Yes.
His mouth is exposed, which
yes.
is a little, which is different. You don't see that much.
I like
but
that.
He is fighting two brothers. Two monster brothers.
And he kills both of them.
Because he has to prove that he is the best swordsman.
And he just gives no shits.
And he's like, oh, what's that? You're gonna fight me? Let me cut this comet in half.
Stand on a piece of it.
And just immediately stand on a piece of it as it's gliding towards Earth,
And then the other brother tries to come and kill him, and he's just like, no.
He's like, no, you don't. And then they fight on, dueling pieces of comets, and they jump off of them, and the comet pieces explode.
And this also ends up bringing out a new, Guys has a new thing where they, these two giant guns, and they shoot down meteors and everything, and I love that. You know, as I said, they're always bringing up something new, just in case. And this is much more, but just in case.
This was a historic comet that was, going to pass by the Earth. Teppei's like, oh, hey, guys, come on, have a look. And Zamashar deviates its course to Earth. It breaks apart into millions of pieces, and if those pieces hit Earth, it will devastate Japan.
But luckily, they end up shooting everything down. Now, the reason that he ends up deviating this thing to Earth, there was a monster earlier, like the Phantoma or Phantom race or something like that, where it's like this.
Yeah, that was the alien who
ate a whole bunch.
Whose planet was going through famine.
Yes. And they that was the whole episode. But this alien
he told Zamashar
that Hikari was on this planet.
Tsurugi.
Yes, well, Tsurugi in this case.
He was still Tsurugi at the time.
And by the time he got there, it was Hikari.
Mm-hmm.
But Zamashar was basically just a samurai from space.
Yeah.
And he fought Mebius
the episode is called A Sword Master from Space. That's really just what he is.
Yeah. He fought Mebius first.
Yes.
And Mebius really damaged his sword, but Mebius' sword, his light sword, got cut in half.
Yeah.
And by the time he ends up fighting Hikari, his sword just ends up breaking. He was like, what do you... he speaks this to Mebius. He's like, what do you... what makes you so strong? He was like, I have people on this planet to protect, and I can't let you, cause any damage or anything like that. And he's just like, I guess that makes us different. I had nothing to protect.
This episode was intense.
Yes.
It has great drama. This episode has some of the best drama and comedy in the series. Because they have two turrets that they can use to shoot down the comet, the meteorites, as they're falling to Earth. One of them gets destroyed by Zamashar. And he's like, I am going to destroy the other one and doom you all if you don't tell me where Tsurugi is. And I thought that was great. It's like, no, I'm going to prove I am the best. Even if it means killing you all because I don't care about you.
And then at the end of the episode, it's just like Zamashar ends up walking off to the sunset. And we don't see him again until almost the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I'm so upset because he's such a good character. God, I love him. It's like I kept texting
I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't use him as much as they did.
Yeah.
That they didn't use any of the guest characters like that as much as they did because it lets the main cast shine a little bit more. But when somebody like Zamashar shows up, it really leaves an impact.
Yeah, it's just like...
Also, Toriyama has one of my favorite moments in the show in this episode, where it's like, no, the comet's deviated, it's coming to Earth, and he just goes, and he just falls out of frame. It was so great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, the adjutant. Toriyama.
Yes.
He's like, when they first thought that Miklos destroyed Bulgaria, he was like, yes, and the Bulgaria gets up, he's like, ah! It's just so good.
He was fantastic.
I feel like out of everything in this show, I'm going to end up remembering a lot about it, but damn, I wanted Zamashar to have his own show so badly. Mm-hmm. He was the greatest thing that this show gave me, and I just felt like I got cock-blocked. And I was just so upset about that, because Zamashar was so good. Yes, moving on.
Yes, but Zamashar.
Episode 24, we end up getting a very old returning enemy from Ultraman Ace, Yapul, who's basically...
Do we want to talk about episode 21 first?
Oh, very good point. I was so out of order. Yes, you start.
Zamashar got you all excited.
Yes, you forgot. Did. I'm sorry. I'll let you start.
Episode 21, A Cry from Space. So we start off, and guys, they get it. They hear what sounds like a distress call from space from a freighter of some sort or a ship that has gone missing. So they fly up to space to investigate.
I think it was Adirondack is the name of it.
Adirondack, that sounds about right. And this episode was awesome. It felt like Aliens.
It was
like
basically just a found footage episode.
It was kind of like that. They're going up and just like they're on this derelict spaceship, and it's just creepy atmosphere. Really, really good stuff.
And like they end up going and powering one of the cameras up, or rather one of the television screens.
The security feed.
Yeah, the security feed, and they end up seeing
But before that, the monster graveyard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We end up getting to see past monsters.
They go through to get to where the Adirondack is. They go through like a wormhole of some sort, and to get through it, they have to go through monster graveyard, a graveyard of just like the dead like souls
Past
of all the
monsters
that Ultraman has ever fought.
All of them.
And it's creepy.
It's very, very creepy.
It looks great, but oh my gosh. I did not expect this show to go there.
Yeah, and when it does, it went very, very good because they end up getting to this, to the Adirondacks. They, end up seeing the footage of, the captain of the ship and his son,
yes,
who looks suspiciously familiar. But I don't think they actually end up getting to see him in the footage itself.
They don't.
Yes, they only end up hearing about him off screen.
They don't, and then you see like a memory flashback of him like putting his hand on the glass, but his face is concealed in shadow as everyone else
and then
leaves.
Mirai, they end up finding out this watch, and it has the name of the person that they ended up finding. And Mirai, yes, and Mirai ends up breaking down there because he ends up remembering exactly what happened to this person, because this is what happens when Mebius person is getting close to Earth. And the biggest thing about this, and I love the fact that in the next couple episodes they really end up extrapolating on this fact. Yes. They show off the fact that his father, like the person who ends up dying, his father is still alive.
Yes.
And the captain, the actual Captain Shingo, and the lady whose name we haven't mentioned, Yuki. Who was the Deputy Inspector General of Gage, Japan. Mm-hmm. They already know who Mebius actually is. And especially Shingo. Shingo's Sakamizu ends up knowing exactly who Mebius is in regards to, Mirai, and so does Yuki as well. And in the next episode
and it's interesting that you bring that up because Mirai always disappears whenever Mebius shows up. No one ever questions it, and this explains why. Because the commander, the inspector, no one ever asks Mirai, what exactly do you do around here? Because whenever the monster shows up, you disappear. They know why. It's brilliant.
And I like in the episode where they try to go get the Adirondacks after they end up getting the emergency distress signal and everything. I love the fact that it's basically all of them, all of guys, at least, the main crew. Mm-hmm. They all end up going through this wormhole. They almost all end up getting trapped in there as well. But they also end up getting to see these little Bogals around on little this
monsters.
Planet. Yes. And there are two of them. They kill one, but the other one ends up eating the one who got killed and ends up growing large and fights Mebius. And I love how shocked they all seem because it's just like, this is another Bogal. What the actual hell? We don't want to go through that again. Mm-hmm. And it's a really, really good episode. It's very good. A great standout episode of this show.
This is something that Ultraman Mebius does so much better than pretty much any other Toku I've ever seen is quiet episodes. Episodes where they can develop, where they can just breathe and let atmosphere happen. It's so nice.
And by this point, Hikaru had already left the planet, and Mebius ends up getting his power-up form. His first one, at least.
Which is the...
God, it's so far down! Brave
form.
Yes. Which is basically just,
it just gives him a gold stripe.
Yes, and...
a couple of gold stripes.
A little bit more power. But yes, great. But
it looks good.
Doesn't
look bad.
Yeah. We hadn't mentioned that. Sorry about that. But yeah, that was episode 21. Episode 24, like I said, Yapul's coming back. He's an old one from Ultraman's Aces days, when they were, fighting originally. He ends up coming back and sort of ends up taking over this monster. And they all end up being very, very surprised by the time they end up seeing Yapul, because, by this point, they had all thought that Yapul had died, but nope. So here we are with basically just an old enemy returning, and he is devious. I love when he ends up showing out throughout the rest of this series. It's a great thing to have, just this one character who knows a lot about this Ultraman already. Probably one of the greater things about this. Let's go ahead and move on to episode 30. This is the episode where, they end up finding out that Mirai is Mebius. The rest of the guys does at least. But as you said, the captain already knew. Yeah. So, but yes, it's a really, really good episode because in this one, Mirai thought that he was going to end up having to leave the planet because Yapul was there and Yapul was willing to go basically just as far as he possibly needed to go just kill Mebius. That's his whole plan here. He wants to kill Mebius. You're going to die here. Oh well, R.I.P. But in this one, it's just like he ends up giving them all this charm, and I end up mentioning this now because it is an important fact later. He ends up giving them all this charm that ends up having the flame of guys on them. And, they don't end up really caring because Mirai is Mirai. He's not, Mebius. This is someone that they fall alongside. And, those bonds of friendship are really, really strong. And I love that.
It's an episode where the power of friendship works.
Yes! Gee, I hate
bonds of friendship. We've had 30 episodes for a relatively small cast to bond, to get to know each other, to develop. And when they find out that he's Mebius, they are very accepting of this. In the next episode, life continues as normal.
And this is also the episode...
Because he's still Mirai to them.
Yes. This is because a couple episodes before this, Hikari came back, he took his night brace back, and in this episode, Mebius is getting the new form, his burning one.
Burning form.
Yes.
Which also looks good.
Yes, I do like it. It's basically just as like a flame... stylization to his thing. Now, there was a movie earlier.
And he also gets a new finisher.
Yes, which is a rider kick.
He gets a rider kick, and he also gets the fire shot that he can do.
Now, there was a movie, Mebius and the 8 Ultraman Brothers. We didn't talk about it because we didn't watch it. So
no, I didn't know there was a movie.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and skip over that. Apologies now, so you don't have to,
might review it at some point later.
Yes, we'll probably end up doing, a thing where we just end up doing, movies for a little bit, just to keep some things together. Especially because we do want to do Ultraman Zero at some point, and that's...
Which one's that?
That's the son of Ultra 7. But those are restricted to movies. The Ultra Zero franchise is restricted to movies until Gi, where he's like a supporting Ultra in that show.
Cool.
Episode 30 is great. And, really, really good. And it's damn good. It's a really great episode to show that this team is still a team. It doesn't matter if you're someone from outer space.
Episode 31 happens. It's Captain Sakamizu's birthday, and they throw a party for him, and it's a nice little scene. What would be considered filler in another show doesn't feel like filler here.
And we didn't mention this earlier. Well, we sort of did. The captain of the Adirondas. We ended up figuring out at this point that the person who died. To save the rest of them because they were about to be pulled into the wormhole.
Yep.
It was... What was his name?
Bon Sagato.
Yes. This is the person that when Mebius first got near Earth, he could not save him. So he ends up taking Bon's form as Mirai to, I'm going to end up denoting, this person's bravery.
Yes, similar to what happened with Hikari and...
yes.
Ryu's superior.
This person's bravery is the reason why I am taking this form because I couldn't save him, but I want his memory to go on.
It's another show where bravery works as a concept.
Yes,
it's amazing what this show can do well.
They end up layering on top of that because Bon was born on Mars, and all of that is
It's another thing about this show that fascinates me. It's people live on Mars. We have space travel is a common thing. But it doesn't feel like
they're beating you over the head with exposition.
It's not that they're not beating you over the head with exposition. It also feels very natural.
Yes,
it feels very organic. It kind of reminds me of if you've seen Logan, if you remember the automatic trucks.
I haven't seen it yet,
but there are like trucks that cargo trucks are now automatic in that movie. Just little things like that help you realize, we're in the future.
World building. It's something that's needed, but the fact that they don't just hey, here's the thing that's happening.
Hey, listen!
Basically. It's just this is a fact in this world.
Yes.
And they treat it as such. They don't just like, hey, I'm going to beat you over the head.
They set their rules up well. The diegetic elements are set up well. It works.
Yes. And I love the fact that when you first end up getting to see like Mirai interact with Bon's father, he was just like, I will, if you don't want me to have this form anymore, I'm perfectly fine with just, leaving it and getting, another one. And his father was like, no, my son never got to make friends on Earth like he wanted to do. He never got to see the Earth. And I want you to keep doing this in his memory. And I'm sitting here like, that's good shit. Now, there's a better episode earlier where it's better shit, and we're about to get to that. But, yeah, it's just like...
What episode would that be?
41.
Episode 40...
We're not there yet.
Oh,
yeah, actually.
No.
Yes, we are.
Do we want to talk about 38 first?
What happens
Son
in
of the Ocean.
So, if you like Fies, or if you saw Zoojer, there's a character in those two... Well, an actor in those two shows who was in Mebius for only one episode as Isana. And he's the captain of Guy's Ocean, and it's Kaixa, or Zuo Eagle. Bird. Zuo the Bird. Yes. It's weird seeing him as a character like this, because he's much more, a little bit more upbeat, and he's not nearly as serious or as...
and I did not know it was the same actor before you brought this up, before we started recording. And, yeah...
It's so weird.
Pretty interesting to see that.
Seeing him like this.
Yes.
But I loved it. I wanted more of his character, and I'm sad this is the first time he ends up showing up. Because we ended up getting a backstory for him with the chief inspector who ends up making all the planes and everything. They were originally on the same team, and then he moved over to Guy's Ocean. And, he really wanted the chief inspector to come with him, to work on the planes with Guy's Ocean because he missed them. Yeah. And I love that. And I'm so upset this is the only episode we end up getting to see Isana in. And Isana is like he pays attention a lot. And that really shows in the fact that he figured out that Mirai was Mebius. Like by the end of this episode. But I loved him. I thought he was so good. And I'm so upset he wasn't in more episodes. We do have to bitch one of the episode 36, where this alien ends up coming back from outer space, like a trickster alien. She's sort of a little asshole. She says the first thing that she does is that she's Mirai's younger sister. Yeah. And we mention her now because she doesn't, I love the fact that there's a group of them, and there's just, there are a whole bunch of tricksters and everything. But Mirai was like, you can do better than this. We want you to be able to do better than this. You don't just have to go and, cause destruction wherever you end up going. There are better things that you can do.
It's okay to not be a dick.
And at the end of the episode, they actually do end up, the group of them are just walking away about to leave the Earth and everything. She was like, and they're just like, hey, do you want to go mess with these people on this planet or these people on this other planet? She's like, there are other things that we could be doing. And they just end up leaving. And we mention her now because she ends up being important later on.
In the final Trilogy episodes.
Yes.
But in between 38 and 36, there is 37.
This episode is so good.
Father's Return. We need to bring up Father's Return.
Because it's Ultra...
the Father of Ultra
comes back. But it's
Ultra
also
Dad,
so good. Yes, Ultra Dad. He is Ultra Dad. But there... the plot behind this episode is that this kid... his father is always working and everything. And he promised to take him to the Father of Ultra Festival. And he doesn't do that. He ends up going to work. And I love this episode because it's just one of the first things that he ends up saying to his dad is I hate you because of the fact that you're literally never there.
It's something we've seen
before, but it's done so well in this episode. Yeah. Because just and his father's I'm so disappointed in you. How could you say that to me? And then he leaves and he breaks down crying. I'm sitting here no, my emotions. It's so good.
As we've mentioned before, tropes that we've seen before, but executed in a fashion that makes them fresh or better.
And I hate kid actors. That's
I know you do.
But this guy was good.
Fans of the Tokucast can attest to this. That you do not like child actors.
But this kid was good.
Yes.
He was really, really good. It's he ends up bonding with Mirai, one of the first things that they end up doing. And then his father, when the city is being destroyed, ends up coming to save him. And I love that. I thought that was great. It was just his father everything was being destroyed. He wasn't just worried about his work or anything. He was legitimately worried about his son. He was so scared when he went home and his son wasn't there. Yeah. And that was just I felt that emotion. And that's something that I can't say for a lot of Toku. That was great. Like, this is one of those episodes where I'm just like, this is why you should watch this show.
Mm.
That was such a good point, and just like overall,
Yes,
for this, that was really, really good. I love Father to Turn and seeing Father Ultra show up.
Father Ultra come back.
Great. It's so good. And I love the monster in this one because they had the 3 faces. It was like a totem pole.
Yeah.
And it was just hilarious. It was really, really good. I really liked this episode.
Quick question. What do you think of Father of Ultra's design? Do you think it's aged poorly or...
Yeah, I mean, it's a show of
the
Ultra
cape,
design.
it is very, very... it's the cape. That cape, though.
The cape saves it, actually.
I think that saves it because it makes it look like... It makes it feel classic.
Because it makes the horns not seem as big as they are.
It does.
Because once that cape is taken off, all of your attention goes straight to the horns and how huge they are.
Yes.
So, but it really works. Like, his design isn't bad, but I really like it more with the cape than Sense.
If you don't like Showa era designs for like Godzilla monsters and whatnot, it might rub you the wrong way, but it's okay.
Yes.
But now we move on to episode 41.
Because this show, Ultraman Taro showed back up in an earlier episode.
Yes.
And in this one, it's Ultraman 80.
Ultraman 80.
As we ended up saying earlier, this show
Which was, canonically speaking, the last one before this one.
In universe, it was a gap between Mebius and 80. And they do mention that. It's just like it's been a very long time before any monsters showed up. Before guys.
And we open up with some new characters. We have a teacher helping a middle school student, and while he's at school, some old friends of his from his class, they bump into each other,
and they all end up basically coming back there because the school is about to be torn down
and
merged with another one that not that far away.
Yeah.
And
they decide the teacher, he believes that their old teacher was Ultraman 80.
And
which he was.
He was. And Takashi Yamato was Ultraman 80 in the original show. And he just disappeared one day. Mm-hmm. And
they're reminiscing and they're like, we should hold a reunion. Let's call up our old classmates and let's have a reunion, celebrate before the school gets torn down,
and see if we can get our teacher to actually
let's see if we can bring him back.
I will say this. Ultraman Mebius does a fantastic way of... Because I feel like with Ultraman, they're a lot more willing, especially the older actors, to come back and reprise their role. Mm. And that says something because the original Ultraman's actor shows back up in this show. And he showed back up recently, 2 years ago, whatever series that was in one of the movies. He shows up in that too. And he's 70. He was born in 1939.
How old is he now?
He's 1939. And he's almost 80. And... I love the fact that they have so much respect for the series themselves.
Yes,
because every single Ultra, past Ultra that was in the show, they got the main person to play the Ultra.
Yes,
to come back, and that's something that you don't see in a lot of Sentai or a lot of Kamen Rider. No, there are reasons.
They'll get the actor to show up for a little bit. Like Kaiju does this sometimes. Like the actor will show up for a little bit. They'll talk for a few minutes and then they're out.
Or you could just be Takashi Hongo or Kenji Oba and just show up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have
Kenji Oba. You show up dressed like Santa Claus on a roof, and you're like, "I get bye."
And he'll be back in what? The Gavin Decker Ranger movie too. He's back in that with blonde hair. Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, in episode 41...
Can I just say the opening of episode 41 took me back to being a kid again? Because it's Ultraman 80 fighting a Showa-era monster on an island with lots of bright colors and plastic-looking trees. And it took me back to watching Godzilla Showa-era movies when I was a kid.
And the whole thing about this is they really start to, connect it back to Ultraman 80 because they start detecting minus energy, which is negative emotions.
Yes.
And they end up saying that during the reunion, one of the people who come back to the reunion, he created a monster back in the Ultraman 80 days from the minus energy. And minus energy was the way that the monsters ended up coming about in 80. And I love the fact that they bring back old aspects and it makes sense in show because they're always looking out for the things that the past Ultras have fought against. And one of the things they do look out for occasionally is minus energy. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah. And,
I love Brent that.
And they snap 80 out of his minus phase by, holding up their banner on the roof of the school and like yelling, "Sensei, we love you."
And it's just like,
this is how we moved on, and it's so great.
Good. Like, I was talking about how episode 37 was good. This episode beats that. It's amazing.
He texted me whenever an episode or something happens in a show that we're reviewing is really good, Marcus will text us. He texted us twice. The first was Zamushar.
It's great.
And then there was episode 41.
Episode 41 is amazing. And these are the actual actors and actresses that, from the original show, those middle school students, and they brought them back, and I'm just sitting here like, this is amazing.
This is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, it's like
they were able to get all these people back and pull this off as well as they did.
And it's like the building itself is the one that's creating the monster, like the minus energy, because the building, like, it knows it's going to be torn down, and it accepts that, but it misses the fact that one of its favorite teachers, they haven't seen it in 27 years, 26 years by this point. And it's so good because the way they end up beating the monster is like they don't kill it, they sort of just disperse the energy. And the monster's like perfectly okay with this, like it's not attacking anybody. And at the end of this episode, it's like 80's just standing there and looking down at the students that he taught. Yeah. And they're singing their school song. And I was sitting here just like, fuck.
The emotions. The emotions.
It was so good.
Very good stuff.
It was amazing. And then, like, he flies off. He comes back as Takashi.
And he comes back in his human form. And he celebrates with his students one last time.
And I'm sitting here like, this might be one of just the best Toku episodes I've ever seen.
It's very, very good.
It was great. Like, what the hell? It's such good story writing. It's, it hits all the emotion, like the emotional spots that it should. Mm-hmm. It's great. And that's something that's so hard to say with a lot of the other shows. Like, we understand that this is an anniversary season, but this feels like much more of an anniversary season done right. Mm. They don't, end up banking everything on the anniversary season. Like, as much as I love Gokaiger, that's really a lot of the things that they ended up doing. Mm-hmm. But this one, it feels like something that is supposed to happen. Instead of something that's a special thing that's happening. And that makes it that much, more different. It's great. Episode 41 is like, it's one of my favorite like Toku episodes ever now. Yeah. It's so good. Episode 42, An Old Friend's Visit. The only reason we're end up mentioning this one is because of the fact that we end up figuring out that, 40 years ago, 40 years ago, during the reign of Zalfi, when he was leaving Earth, Captain Sakamizu was a part of the science team that was fighting with Zalfi. Right. And he ends up going out there and ends up flying past Pluto. And it's a whole thing where these aliens like start attacking him, and Zalfi shows up and just starts like destroying a whole bunch of them because that's what Zalfi does now. Yeah. And it's Captain Sakamizu hasn't aged at all. Like, he stayed the same age throughout this entire thing. And you end up seeing in, I think it's one of the episodes that come right after this, where it was one of like the higher ups and guys ends up coming in and ends up calling him by a nickname. And you don't end up seeing that, with people that are different ages. Right. In any Japanese culture, or really just in culture at all. Yeah. But he does, and they end up treating each other as equals instead of, someone who's older and someone who's younger. Right. And the reason for that is because Captain Sakamizu is actually like 70. And the first thing he has to say to the other guy is like, "You got old." Just sitting here.
You got old. I did not.
Yeah, it's just, and seeing Zalfi come back, once again, another great thing. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that this episode just sort of sets up something that comes in a little bit later on, because the guy who ends up coming back, in the Ultraman Mebius brothers with the 8 brothers, the girl who is the granddaughter of the guy, is in that movie as well. And that's the first time she ends up meeting Mirai, and that's why she already acts like they know each other in the next episode. Gotcha. In the episode after that as well, I think it's the 43rd and 44th episode where we end up figuring out all of this. Mm-hmm. Now in the 44th episode, we also end up getting to meet this reporter. He is an ass of the highest caliber. Mm. He has no scruples. He is just a terrible person, and the whole thing is. What is it? Ace, Deathram,
Grozam, and Mephila.
Yes.
The 4 kings.
Well, no, you mean Yapul, not Ace. Ultraman Ace is the one who's just like,
oh, sorry.
You can't give up on humanity just based on this one person. Like, you can't paint everybody in the same color.
My mistake.
Everybody's a different color.
Right.
And race jokes aside. But yeah, it's just like everybody is different, and you can't just end up basing everything. Like, you can't lose your love for people based on this one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Yapul ends up bringing them basically to another universe, and with Mebius Killer, and this is the episode where they end up beating Yapul. But I feel like this is like one of my only gripes with Mebius. They introduced.
If I could have one gripe, I think it's that the villains are kind of underdeveloped and they don't come in until so late in the game.
Like, I felt like if they would have done something where it was like, they each had their own monster faction or something like that. I know that's more of a Sentai trope, but I felt like just because of the fact that they came in so late, we couldn't learn anything about them except
we didn't learn anything about them aside from the fact that they're evil and they're dicks.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with that because. If you developing your villains is great, I think it's something you absolutely should do. But if you don't develop the hero, and they're the ones who suffer, then we kind of all lose. So. And
the reporter at the end of this episode, he beats the shit out of Mirai at one point, and I'm sitting here like, and then I'm just like, oh god, please somebody kill him. Yeah. And then Yapul comes in and just smacks a dude around and everything, and he gives the guy a gun, and he tells him to shoot Mebius. Or Mirai, he does, and Mebius just comes out and, blocks it, everything. That guy was a terrible, terrible person.
Yep.
And he was awful. And I wanted him to die. And I'm happy that something happens later on, which basically just ends up discrediting him. Because at the end of this episode, he basically ends up writing an article that appears later that Mirai is Mebius. Mm-hmm. Now, there is one episode, though, that happens a little bit later on. I think it's in episode 45, where the people, like the Phoenix Nest, which is the base of guys, it ends up, turning into a ship. And it's a giant ship that can go out and just start destroying things and everything. And in this episode, it ends up getting captured, but George is sent back.
Phoenix Nest is held hostage.
Yes. And in this episode, I have a problem with the people. More than anything else. Because they turn on Mebius so fast when they realize that he's not, like, the reason that he's not fighting as hard against the monsters because of the fact that he's trying to protect his teammates. And the people are so mad, it's like, what about us civilians, huh? What about us? It's just like, what if Mebius is trying to do something to save everybody? And apparently you people are just being dicks. And they were all being dicks.
Well, their lives are on the line. The lives of their families and friends are on the line. There's monsters that could kill them.
Still a dick. So, such a dick.
We might act the same way. Who knows?
No, I don't know. I just feel like they turn on him so quickly.
People turn quickly.
But in this episode, we end up getting another Ultra Brother coming back. It is Ultraman Jack.
Yes.
His actor looked great, by the way. Like, really good. I was like, he doesn't look that old.
That's the thing about Japanese, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks great. I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, Ultraman Jack is coming back. They end up defeating the monster and saving guys and everything, and the people realize they were terrible. So,
sorry, Ultraman.
Yeah, our bad. So sorry. But yeah, Jack is coming back and defeating the monster of the week. That was a really, really, really good episode. And the next episode,
down to the last 5.
Yeah, so episode 46, Ultra 7 comes back. It's always good to see Ultra 7. I like his. I like the original Ultraman. I like his design quite a bit. I think it's just because he has like those little knots in his his crest piece and everything. Thought that was great. It's really good to see Ultra 7 again, and his actor also ends up showing up. Like I said, everybody shows back up in this show. It's great. I love it. They end up beating the monster of the biggest alien, Rosa, who was like an ice monster. He ends up freezing Mebius to a dam. Like, not the word. I mean, like an actual dam. Freezes Mebius to the dam. Each Ultraman, when they end up coming back, end up connecting with a member of guys in some way. This episode is, as I said, the one for Jack last episode. That was George. And this episode is Konami, who ends up spending the most time, really, out of everybody there with 7. And I like that. I like the fact that they end up splitting up where it's not everybody, it's not just the Ultra to come back to spend time and, talk.
It keeps it more focused.
Talk to their younger brother. It's, spending time with everyone of the actual team. That's great. I love that. What is it? Episode 47. This is an old monster. It's alien Mephilus, who is, I think, was in the original Ultraman and some of the other Ultraman after that. Which is like a sort of the antithesis to the Ultra race. It's the Mephilus race.
Yep.
And it's this episode is so creepy because he ends up taking them to another universe.
Yeah.
And this universe is like the anti one where Mephilus is the hero and Ultraman is the villain. And he ends up turning guys on him and everything. They're about to shoot him and a whole bunch of other stuff, but then like snap out of it. As I mentioned, those charms earlier, like they were painted all black. But then they end up breaking the spell that was on them. And, the flames are coming out and they all end up fighting back against Mephilus. One of the first things you end up seeing, like, once he is transported to the other universe, is he's on a bench and, like, they're doing a whole bunch of things with camera angles. And there's these kids in the background wearing all black. I was sitting here like, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it was just, like, there was sort of that dramatic irony, sort of. But at the same time, it was just, like, they were there.
Yeah.
And it was creepy. And they were using, like, the Mephilus toys and they beat down the Ultraman one. I loved it. I thought
very surreal.
Yeah. That was a really, really good episode. And this leads us up to the last three. Last
trilogy.
Yes. And in that in episode 47 as well, is like Mephilus doesn't actually get killed by Mebius. He's going into outer space and a beam comes out of nowhere from the Emperor and shoots him and kills him. And I'm just like, the
Emperor of Darkness.
You just don't give two shits. But the last three episodes of this show are so good. Like, episode 48 is, the advent of the Emperor, where we finally get to meet the Emperor. He comes down. He basically just wipes the floor with Mebius. We end up getting to see, like, in the past, he originally fought...
Oh, young Mebius. You will die.
In the past, he fought... Father of Ultra,
mm-hmm.
and he got hurt and basically just sealed away for a good long while. And this is another episode where Hikari ends up coming back. Now, they end up bringing down like these Emperizers, which is something I believe it was Ultra 7 helping him fight earlier. It was Ultra Taro. Taro was the one who helped them fight the Emperizers earlier.
Mm-hmm. And
they're centered all around the world. It's like 13 of them. He ends up bringing them all down. The Emperor does. And he, it's so good because of just the fact that Mebius is almost killed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, almost immediately, because he keeps having to fight these Emperizers. And the last time, he needed Taro's help, and really he doesn't end up having that much help this time from another Ultra. And the sun is slowly being swallowed by dark energy. It's great. It's like, it ramps up that tension.
It really feels like this is the final battle.
Yes.
It really feels like the end is approaching.
That's legitimately what it is. And it's just...
stuff.
It's so good. And in episode 49, because Mirai is just like so worn down and everything, he's like being rushed to the hospital.
Yep.
And in episode 49, Ultraman Hikari and Samashar are the best. And it ends up coming back, and
Samashar comes back.
Like, the Emperor is just beating on the Phoenix as he's taking down all their defenses and everything.
Yep.
The Emperizers are coming and started taking out defenses prior to that, and they started to be destroyed. And then you end up getting to this one part of this episode where Zamashar ends up coming back, and it's him and Hikari like actually fighting together, and it's so good. And then like they're literally being tossed around by by him, and then Hikari like ends up getting another attack onto the Emperor, and like slashes his leg, and like you see light spilling out of these two places, and this is the Emperor of Darkness. So you know that something is about to happen. And Zamashar ends up sacrificing himself to save Phoenix Nest. And I'm just like, you had a potential to give him a show. You could have gave him a show, but he went out like such a hero because at the end he found something. Like he wanted to be the one. He changed
a lot since the first time we saw him.
Yeah, he wanted to be the one to fight Mebius, and he didn't want anybody else to take him down. And like at the end of that, he ended up protecting these people, really sort of for selfish reasons, but at the same time, he still ended up protecting them. And then he died, and I'm sitting here like, oh God, you were the best. You were only there for 2 episodes though. And then his little sister ends up coming back along with the Phantom person, and the sister ends up trying to fight them because she can control monsters, but the Emperor ends up tossing her aside like she's basically nothing. And it's like the last episode 50, like Hikari ends up getting Serizawa does end up getting killed, and Ryu ends up taking up the mantle of Hikari for the last episode or so, and it's him and Mebius fighting. He thought that Mebius basically just got wiped out at one point because he got hit with a beam by the Emperor, but luckily he's a being made of light. So they end up having like this psychic connection, which Mebius has demonstrated earlier on in the show, and like the last episode is just so good because they like constantly end up beating the Emperor, and like the sun has been fully covered by that point, but the other Ultras are in space, like burning the thing, like burning the darkness away with their their rays and everything, and just like the last 3 episodes of this show are basically perfect, and then at the end of that at the end of episode 50, Mirai ends up having to leave to go back to the land of light.
But can we talk about Phoenix form?
Oh, you mean the last form that he gets?
Yeah, his final form.
Yes,
his Phoenix form,
where it's all 6 of guys in this one body, basically.
It's all of them in one body, and it looks amazing.
And Zolfi,
I love how this one looks.
Zolfi is coming back, and with the help of Captain Shingo, Captain Sakamizu.
Yes,
and he is becoming his host for that one. This is great.
But yeah, and then in the end, when Mebius has to leave and go back to wherever the Ultra Dimension, I guess, or Ultra Planet, wherever they're from.
Yeah, Ryu ends up becoming the new captain. We end up finding out. I didn't mention this, and I should have. Captain, Shingo Sakamizu, the captain, is actually the chief inspector of guys.
Yes.
And he's just like, why didn't you tell us? She's just like, I actually wanted to fight with you all. Mm-hmm. And he has this speech where like the government is about to take Mira away because he is an alien. And
there's some hints earlier that he might be.
Yeah.
Because when Toriyama is like trying to make everything perfect for the inspector's like big inspection that he's doing, and then in the end it's like, oh, Captain Sakamizu was like, oh, he couldn't be here, but he wanted to say this. And why did you relay the message?
There was a part, like the adjutant, Toriyama, there was a part like when they end up finding out, because as I said, the reporter ends up being the one to let everybody know that Mirai is Mebius, and people end up really standing behind him. But there's this one part where I grew so much respect for Toriyama, like as a character, because he was sort of like the comedic aspect.
He's very much the comedic relief for most of his appearances.
And then like the government ends up coming in and ends up trying to take Mirai away, and he's just like no, and like he gives this speech, and I was just
when Toriyama puts his foot down
in this episode,
in any episode where he does, this happens in episode 16 as well, where when he takes command, he really does.
Yeah,
when he means it, he means it.
He's like, I don't care if Mirai is an alien or not. I fall alongside this man, and I believe this boy is basically just. He's a good person, and I know, like, even if he is Mebius, he was there and always end up trying to help us. Like, what gives you the right to take this person away?
Right.
And I love that. And then after that, they basically end up trying to relieve Sakamizu of his position as chief inspector. He ends up giving this speech to basically everybody. And I'm just like, you are the best. Because this speech, it's so good. It's like, it's well written, it's well acted. He's one of the best actors in the show, in my opinion. And
very good.
It's so good. I love it. Mebius is a great show. And Ryu ends up becoming the new captain.
He becomes the captain of guys. Marina becomes
she goes back to
motorcycling, and she wins her big race. George goes back to soccer. And
Teppei is becoming a doctor.
He becomes a doctor. Konami gets her license and becomes a licensed preschool teacher. And I love the way this scene is shot, because it'll be like it's a shot. It's a shot of them, and then it fades into what they do next. I love when it cuts to Toriyama and his secretary, but it didn't flash to anything. I was kind of hoping it would.
Nope.
You want to know what I was almost hoping it would cut to?
What?
A wedding between the two of them.
They're already married.
No, I just think that would be funny. I know they're already married. I just think it would be really, really funny.
Yeah, it's like, I think Mario had a girlfriend, and the adjutant had...
Toriyama was married. He had a daughter.
Yeah, he had a daughter, and I think a granddaughter, too.
Maybe.
He was old enough. But yeah, Mebius is amazing. It's such a good show.
It is one of the best things I've ever watched for this channel.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Let's get into these characters a little bit, because we're already over an hour. It's been a while since we had that. Mirai. I felt he was a little bit bland at the beginning, but he got better.
He's kind of like the bland, wide-eyed happy I'm gonna help everyone.
But then it's like once you end up finding out his actual backstory about Bond ended up dying on that one the ship, and then him taking his form and everything, and him actually getting some backstory and help from his elder brothers. It's it's really good to actually have that because as we said, he doesn't end up getting that much at the beginning. A lot of his stuff ends up coming in the latter half of the show. After episode 20.
And it works, though, because as an Ultraman, because he's not a human being, he has this very naive
sense,
an innocent outlook on life and everything. And he is a very positive person because he's an Ultraman. And as he grows and he learns more about Earth and people, when he grows with his friends, he grows up as a character, and it works.
Ryu. He had some moments where I'm just like, I sort of want to punch you in the face.
You kind of want to punch him in the face, but he's kind of a jerk. But when the situation calls for it, he will be a nice guy. He does care about people, and
it proves at the end where Hikari gives him the ability to transform into Hikari, even though it's only for an episode. And at the very end, he ends up growing much more as a character because he's willing to do anything to help his friends.
Yes, and
that's really good. I really like the fact that we do have a character like that where he's sort of an asshole, but we end up getting these moments later on where it's just like he really ends up growing as a character enough to end up becoming an Ultraman.
Yes.
Marina. She had a special ability where she could hear, basically anything, and that helped her later on where one of the other Ultramans were speaking to her. Mm-hmm. Who is it? Ultraman Ace was able to contact her with her hearing ability. Mm-hmm. And, she was a good character. She was, the strong female of the show.
She was the strong woman of the show.
Yeah. Great character, though. I really like Marina.
She's kind of like the big sister of the group.
Yeah, she really is.
George. I liked him a lot.
He was hilarious when he had to be.
The scene where Pikachu shocks him and he's unconscious and Commander Sakabizu gives the order for them to move out and he goes
He's also a great shot. That's why he was one of the people who was chosen to shoot down.
He can kick a ball with such force that it catches fire.
Yeah. But George is really, really good. He there was a character.
He's the cocky sharpshooter.
Yes,
and we find out one of the reasons he was kicked out of his football league was because he was a show stealer.
Yeah,
he pretty much took all the credit for most things. But he grows. He learns to be a team player.
There was a character we didn't mention, Asami Fujisawa, the scientist, who he sort of falls in love with. Yeah. And because a lot of the other characters end up showing back at the end of the show, she's a scientist who's always working behind the scenes and things like that. But yeah, George was a really good character. I liked him. It's weird saying that because, every once in a while we end up getting a character where it's just why do you even exist? Mm-hmm. But it feels like everybody in this show has a point. Legitimately has a point. Mm-hmm. Konomi, as we said, we really liked her.
Konomi is great. She's, if Marina's the big sister, Konomi would be the mother. She's a very motherly. She's very caring. She loves animals. She loves kids. She loves everybody.
Yeah, and
also, she's the only one who wears a skirt.
Yes,
which I thought was kind of interesting.
That is actually very interesting. And there was this one episode where she actually just wore contacts.
Yeah, that was episode 16.
Yeah, the only one who actually ends up noticing was Sakamizu. Mm-hmm. And she was just like, you know what? I think I'm good with just wearing my glasses. Mm-hmm. And I like that because it shows she was so nervous of wearing contacts at the beginning, but it's just at the little.
Because when she comes out wearing them for the first time, everyone's busy either looking at a monitor or just reading a magazine or doing whatever.
Yeah, and she's just you know what? Okay, I'm good with just wearing glasses. Mm-hmm. It's not like that everybody ignored her. It's just she is who she already is, mm-hmm. and she doesn't really end up having to change anything.
And because she's good with animals and whatnot, she's the reason that they use her for the Maquette user. The one who uses the monsters when they have to kill them out. And Tepe.
Yes. Who was the really smart one.
He was very, very intelligent. He could speak alien, which, good for you.
Things he does.
Yeah.
But yeah. He didn't want to join guys at first, and his mother was basically the one who really didn't want him to. But after a while, he's just I'm going to go ahead and do this.
And he's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, he's
good with tech, good with aliens and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's just he was a really good character. I like the fact that he was really.
I love the episode where he's dealing with that girl who has what was it? She was sick with something.
Oh right, some alien infected her.
Yeah, some alien infection. It's the whole episode is him trying to cure her. it works, but then she loses all the memories she had of him.
And apparently,
right as he was about to go like confess that he liked her, he had like a suit on and
everything,
bouquet of roses and everything, and like I think it was like George and Mirai are there with him, like, yeah, you got this, bro. And then she just runs past him to meet some other dude,
and they're just all like,
and they're like, oh dear, we are so sorry, sir.
The captain,
Captain Sakamizu,
Chief Inspector, great character.
Mm-hmm.
He was a mentor, but he didn't feel like he was overbearing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's the stern mentor, but I'm thinking of the episode where you first see him in action, where he takes their ship and he's like, I'm gonna go. It's like, I'll take care of the monster, you guys go. It's like, okay, so you're willing to throw down when the situation calls for it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Like, that's basically really all the characters that we haven't talked about. Those are the main ones and guys. But it's great.
Mm-hmm.
This show is so good. Like, go watch it. Like, we've only ended up watching like 2 Ultraman shows so far. We do have other plans to watch other ones later on.
As well as the many other Toko that we need to watch, like Garo and everything else.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and actually put up a schedule pretty soon. If we don't do it for this episode, to actually let you know. We'll put it in a Google document so you can all view it and see our shows. But yeah, this show was really, really good. Like,
oh yes,
up there good. That's how good it was. It's like, I'm glad for the first 2 Ultras that we watched this and Nexus. That's great.
Like I was saying, I told him before we started recording, I almost don't want to watch another Ultraman.
Because you don't know.
Because I don't know if they'll be good.
Well,
but
to be fair, the next Ultraman that we're going to end up watching is Tiga. And apparently everyone says that one is really good.
If it is, then it is, and I'm happy to hear it, but we'll find out.
But for our next review, Yakuza Sentai! Gyarenja!
Yow!
I'm very excited. Well, we'll say excited.
I'm not.
Gyarenja. Yeah, we're going to interview Gyarenja next.
Gyarenja.
So all the animal puns ready for them. Go! Bye, everybody!
Bye, everybody.